Mommy, are we going to die? Sarah Mitchell collapsed on the rain-soaked Chicago sidewalk, her feverish 6-year-old son clutched against her chest. 3 days without food. $0 in her account. Her husband had vanished with every penny they had, leaving them to starve in the cold. But what satisfies next would change everything she believed about strangers, about family, and about herself. Hello, and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. And I want to know, where are you watching from today? Drop your city in the comments below. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Now, let's get into this incredible journey of survival, betrayal, and unexpected hope. The clock struck 9:47 p.m. when Liam tugged at Sarah's sleeve. "Mommy, is Daddy coming home tonight?" Sarah looked at her son. His brown eyes were swollen from crying. His tiny fingers gripped his faded teddy bear like it was the only thing keeping him anchored to this world. "I don't know, sweetheart." She pulled him close. "But I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." "He promised to take me to the park." Liam's voice cracked. "He pinky promised." Sarah remembered that moment. Last Saturday morning. Derek had knelt down, wrapped his pinky around Liam's, and said the words that now felt like poison. "I promise, buddy. This weekend. Just you and me." That was 5 days ago, 3 days before he disappeared. "Sometimes adults break promises, baby." Sarah kissed his forehead. "It's not right, but it happens." "Do you break promises, Mommy?" "Never to you, I swear on my life." Liam nodded slowly. "Okay, I believe you." She carried him to bed, tucked the worn blanket around his thin body, and placed his teddy bear next to him. She watched him until his breathing slowed, until his eyes fluttered closed, until she was certain he was dreaming of something better than this nightmare. Then she walked to the living room and grabbed her phone. 17 missed calls to Derek. 17 voicemails left. 17 times she'd begged him to come home. She dialed again. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3. "Hey, you've reached Derek. Leave a message." "Derek." Her voice shook. "I don't understand what's happening. Liam keeps asking for you. He thinks he did something wrong. Please. Whatever I did, I'm sorry. Just come home. Please, come home." She hung up and threw the phone onto the couch. The kitchen table was covered with unopened envelopes. She'd been avoiding them for days, but avoidance didn't make bills disappear. She tore open the first one. Final notice. Electric bill. $247.89. Payment due immediately, or service will be disconnected. The second envelope. Urgent. Rent payment overdue. You have 5 days to pay in full, or eviction proceedings will begin. The third. Collection agency. Outstanding balance $1,892. Failure to pay will result in legal action. Sarah dropped the letters. Her hands trembled. Her chest felt like someone had wrapped a chain around it and was pulling tighter with every breath. She remembered how Derek had handled the finances. "Don't worry about money, babe," he'd always said. "That's my job. You just focus on Liam." She'd trusted him. She'd trusted him completely. And now she was drowning. Her phone buzzed. She lunged for it. Not Derek. Her friend Mia. "Heard about Derek leaving. That's rough. Honestly, though, there were red flags everywhere. If you need to vent, I'm around. Can't really help with anything else, though. Crazy busy this month." Sarah stared at the message. This was friendship now. Empty words. Hollow gestures. Everyone had time to gossip, but no one had time to help. She walked to the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. 1 egg. Half a loaf of stale bread. A bruised apple. Her stomach cramped with hunger, but she closed the door. Everything was for Liam now. She could survive on water. She had no other choice. She sat at the kitchen table and let herself feel the weight of everything. Not crying, not yet, just sitting with the enormity of her situation. Derek had seemed so different when they first met. Charming. Attentive. He'd shown up at her office with flowers for no reason. He'd remembered her coffee order, her favorite movie, the name of her childhood pet. He'd made her feel seen in a way no one ever had. "I'll take care of you forever," he'd said on their wedding day. "You'll never have to worry about anything as long as you're with me." She'd believed him. God help her, she'd believed every word. The first cracks appeared 2 years into the marriage. Late nights at work that stretched into early mornings. Phone calls he'd taken another room. Credit card bills he insisted on handling himself. "You're being paranoid," he'd say whenever she questioned him. "Don't you trust me?" And she'd back down, every time, because she wanted to believe, because the alternative was too painful to consider. Now she knew the truth. The late nights weren't work. The phone calls weren't clients. And the money, their future, their son's security, had been funding a life she knew nothing about. The next morning, Liam woke her with a gentle shake. "Mommy, I'm hungry." Sarah opened her eyes. Sunlight streamed through the thin curtains. Liam stood beside the bed, teddy bear in hand, looking at her with complete trust. "Good morning, baby." She forced energy into her voice. "How about some toast? With butter and jelly? We'll see what we have." She went to the kitchen. The bread was stale but edible. She searched every cabinet for butter, for jelly, for anything to make it better. Nothing. She found an almost empty jar of strawberry jam hidden in the back, maybe a tablespoon left. She scraped it out and spread it thin across both pieces of toast, trying to make it stretch. "Here you go, sweetheart." She handed him the plate. Liam took a bite. "Aren't you eating, Mommy?" "I ate earlier. You go ahead." He chewed slowly, savoring each bite like it was a feast. When he finished, he looked at the empty plate with disappointment. "Can I have more?" Sarah's throat tightened. "That's all we have right now, honey. But I'll get more today. I promise." "Okay, Mommy." He didn't complain, didn't whine, just accepted it with a trust that broke her heart. A knock at the door made them both freeze. Sarah's pulse spiked. She walked to the door and looked through the peephole. Mr. Kowalski, the landlord, a heavy-set man with a thick Polish accent and zero patience for excuses. She opened the door. "Morning, Sarah." "Good morning, Mr. Kowalski." "Rent's due." He crossed his arms. 2 weeks late now. I've been patient, but patience doesn't pay my mortgage." "I know, I'm sorry. I'll have it soon." "You said that last month." He glanced past her and saw Liam at the table. His expression flickered something like sympathy, but then hardened again. 5 days, Sarah. That's all I can give you. After that, I have to find a tenant who can pay." "I understand. I hope you do." He turned and walked away. 5 days. Sarah closed the door slowly. Her hands were shaking. "Mommy, who was that man?" Liam asked. "Just someone from the building, baby. Nothing to worry about." But she was worried. She was terrified. 5 days. That was all she had before they'd be on the street. She spent the next 3 hours searching for jobs online. Her eyes burned from staring at the laptop screen. Every listing had requirements she couldn't meet. Waitress needed. 2 years experience required. Office cleaner. Full-time night shift only. Nanny position. Must have own vehicle and 3 references. She'd lost her part-time job at the grocery store last month when Liam got sick. She'd missed too many shifts taking care of him, and they'd let her go without a second thought. Now no one was hiring, and even if they were, she had no one to watch Liam. She closed the laptop and pressed her palms against her eyes. Her phone rang. She grabbed it. Her mother, Barbara Mitchell. Sarah hesitated. Conversations with her mother always left her feeling worse than before. But maybe this time would be different. Maybe her mother had heard what happened and wanted to help. She answered. "Hi, Mom." "Sarah." Barbara's voice was ice. "I heard about Derek." "Who told you?" "Does it matter?" "Everyone's talking about it. Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is for me? My own daughter abandoned by her husband. What will people think? Sarah closed her eyes. I'm sorry you're embarrassed, Mom. Don't take that tone with me. I want to know what you did to drive him away. I didn't do anything. He just left. Men don't just leave, Sarah. There's always a reason. Maybe if you'd been more attentive. Maybe if you'd tried harder to keep him happy. The words cut deep, but Sarah didn't have the energy to fight. I did try, Mom. I tried everything. Well, clearly it wasn't enough. Barbara sighed. I suppose you'll want to come home now. But your brother is visiting next week, and I can't have Liam running around making a mess. You'll have to sleep on the couch and keep him quiet. I think I can manage on my own. Suit yourself. But don't come crying to me when everything falls apart. You made your bed, Sarah. Now you have to lie in it. The line went dead. Sarah sat there, phone in hand, feeling something inside her harden. Her own mother, the woman who was supposed to love her unconditionally, and all she could offer was blame and conditions. She thought about calling her sister Jennifer, but Jennifer lived in Lincoln Park in a house that cost more than Sarah would make in 10 years. Jennifer had married well, had 2 perfect children, drove a BMW. Jennifer had warned her about Derek from the very beginning. There's something off about him, Jennifer had said at the engagement party. He's too charming, too perfect. Nobody's that perfect. Sarah hadn't listened. She'd been too in love, too desperate to believe in the fairy tale. Now she had to swallow her pride and ask for help. She dialed Jennifer's number. Sarah? Jennifer sounded surprised. What's wrong? Jen, I need help. Sarah's voice cracked despite her efforts to stay strong. Derek left. He took all our money. I don't have anything left. I just need some groceries, maybe somewhere for Liam to stay while I look for work. Please. Silence on the other end. I warned you about him. Jennifer's voice was cold. I told you something wasn't right. You didn't listen. I know. You were right. I was wrong. But I'm not calling about that. I'm calling because Liam is hungry. He hasn't had a real meal in 2 days. Please, Jen. He's your nephew. Another pause. Longer this time. I have my own family to think about, Sarah. My kids are busy with their activities. Tom is stressed about a merger at work. I can't just drop everything because you made bad choices. Jen, I'm begging you. Have you tried calling Mom? Maybe she can help. I'm sorry, Sarah. I really am. But I have to go. Goodbye. The line went dead. Sarah set the phone down carefully. She didn't throw it. Didn't scream. Just set it down and stared at the wall. Her own sister, her own blood. And Liam meant nothing to her. Fine. She would figure this out alone. She'd been doing everything alone anyway. What was one more impossible task? She put on her faded jacket and helped Liam into his only pair of sneakers. They were too tight now, pinching his toes, but she couldn't afford new ones. Where are we going, Mommy? For a walk, baby. Maybe we'll find something good. They walked through the neighborhood, past the row houses with their neat lawns, past the apartment buildings with their crumbling facades, past the people who used to smile at her and now looked away. She knew what they were thinking. She could see it in their eyes. Poor Sarah. Her husband left her. Did you see how thin the boy looks? She walked faster, pulling Liam along, head down. They passed the bakery on Michigan Avenue. The smell of fresh bread hit her like a physical force. Her stomach cramped. Her mouth watered. Through the window she could see golden loaves, flaky pastries, thick sandwiches on fresh-baked rolls. Mommy, can we get bread? Liam tugged at her hand. Sarah took a deep breath. Pride was a luxury she could no longer afford. She pushed open the door. The bell chimed. Mrs. Patterson looked up from behind the counter. Her welcoming smile faded when she saw who it was. Morning, Sarah. Good morning, Mrs. Patterson. Sarah approached the counter. I was wondering if you might have any day-old bread. Yesterday's loaves, maybe. I can pay you next week. I just need something for my son. Mrs. Patterson's face tightened. You still owe me for last week, Sarah. Business has been slow. I can't afford to give away product. I know. I'm sorry, but please. Sarah's voice broke. He's just a little boy. He's hungry. For a moment, something shifted in Mrs. Patterson's eyes. Her gaze moved to Liam, who stood quietly holding his mother's hand, looking up with those big brown eyes. But then she shook her head. I'm sorry. I wish I could help, but I have bills too. Sarah nodded. I understand. Thank you anyway. She took Liam's hand and walked out, the bell chiming behind her like a final judgment. Outside, the cold wind cut through her thin jacket. She kept walking, no destination in mind, just moving because stopping felt like giving up. Her phone buzzed. A text from Derek. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She fumbled to open it. Stop calling me. I'm not coming back. I've moved on. Don't drag Liam into this. You're a grown woman. Figure it out. Sarah stopped in the middle of the sidewalk. People walked around her, annoyed, but she didn't notice. She read the message again and again. No apology, no explanation, no concern for his son, just cold, brutal dismissal. She put the phone away and kept walking. They passed a cafe on State Street. Through the window, she saw something that made her blood freeze. Derek. He was sitting at a table near the window, leaning back in his chair, laughing at something the woman across from him had said. The woman was young, mid-20s maybe, with long blonde hair and a designer dress. She wore diamond earrings that caught the light, and on the table between them sat 2 thick steaks, 2 glasses of red wine, and a basket of fresh bread. Sarah watched as Derek reached across the table and took the woman's hand. He smiled at her, that same smile he used to give Sarah, the same smile that had made her fall in love with him. Her husband was eating steak while his son starved. Mommy, why did we stop? Liam asked. Sarah grabbed his hand. Come on, baby, let's go home. She didn't look back. She couldn't. That night, Sarah sat on the kitchen floor while Liam slept. She'd given him the last of the bread for dinner. She'd told him it was a special indoor picnic, just the 2 of them, and he'd believed her. Now she was alone with the silence and the hunger and the fear. She pulled out her phone and scrolled through her contacts. There had to be someone. Anyone. She stopped at a name she hadn't thought about in years. Marie Chen, her college roommate. They'd been inseparable once before graduation scattered them to different cities and different lives. She dialed before she could talk herself out of it. Hello? Marie's voice was warm, familiar. Marie? It's Sarah. Sarah Mitchell, from Northwestern. Sarah, oh my God. It's been, 8 years? How are you? Sarah swallowed hard. I'm not doing great, actually. I hate to call out of nowhere like this, but I'm in a really bad situation. My husband left. He took everything. My son is hungry and I don't have any money, and I don't know what to do. I was hoping maybe you could lend me something. Just enough to get through the week. I'll pay you back as soon as I get a job. I swear. Silence. Wow. Marie's voice had changed. Careful now. Distant. That sounds really hard, Sarah. I'm so sorry you're going through that. Thank you. So, do you think you could help? I wish I could. I really do. But things are tight for us too right now. You know how the economy is. Of course, I understand. Have you tried applying for government assistance, food stamps, that kind of thing? I hear they can really make a difference. Yeah, I'll look into that. Great. Well, it was so nice hearing from you. We should catch up properly sometime, when things settle down. Take care, okay? The line went dead. Sarah lowered the phone slowly. So that was it. Everyone had an excuse. Everyone had their own problems. No one had room for hers. She was completely alone. The next morning, she found a letter on the floor by the door. Plain white envelope. No return address. She opened it without thinking. A bank statement. Their joint account. Current balance, $0. Her eyes scanned the transaction history. 3 days ago, withdrawal. $47,263. $42. Everything. Their savings. Their emergency fund. The college account she'd started for Liam. Gone. Derek had taken every last cent. Sarah sank to the floor, her back against the wall. The paper crumpled in her fist. She wanted to scream. She wanted to break something. She wanted to find Derek and demand to know how he could do this to his own son. But she couldn't do any of those things, because Liam was in the next room and he was counting on her to keep it together. She stood up, folded the bank statement, put it in her pocket. Evidence. She would need evidence if this ever went to court. She went to check on Liam. He was still sleeping, but something was wrong. His face was flushed. His breathing was shallow and rapid. She touched his forehead. Hot. Too hot. Liam. Baby, wake up. His eyes fluttered open. Mommy. How are you feeling, sweetheart? My tummy hurts. His voice was weak. And I'm really cold. Sarah's heart dropped. She pressed her hand against his forehead again. Definitely a fever. Maybe 102, 103 degrees. Okay, baby. Just rest. Mommy's going to take care of you. She ran to the bathroom and searched the medicine cabinet. Empty bottles. Expired prescriptions. Nothing useful. She tore through every drawer, every cabinet, every corner of the apartment. Nothing. Liam started coughing. A deep, wet, rattling cough that seemed to shake his entire body. Sarah made a decision. She bundled him in his jacket, lifted him into her arms. He was so light now, so terribly light, and headed for the door. Where are we going, Mommy? His voice was barely a whisper. To get you some medicine, baby. Just rest. Outside, the sky was gray and threatening. Sarah walked as fast as she could toward the pharmacy on the corner. Halfway there, the rain started. Light at first, then heavier. She had no umbrella, no rain jacket. By the time she reached the pharmacy, they were both soaked. Inside the pharmacy was bright and warm. Sarah carried Liam to the counter where a young woman in a white coat looked up. Can I help you? My son has a fever. He's been coughing all night. I need children's cough syrup and some Tylenol. Sarah paused, shame burning in her chest. I don't have money right now, but I can pay on Friday. I swear on my life. Please, he's burning up. The pharmacist's expression softened. She looked at Liam, at his flushed cheeks and glassy eyes, and Sarah could see her wavering. But then she shook her head. I'm so sorry, ma'am. Store policy. We can't extend credit. If I do it for you, I have to do it for everyone. My manager would fire me. Please, I'm begging you. He's just a little boy. I really wish I could help. Have you tried the free clinic on Madison? They might be able to. The free clinic is closed on Tuesdays. Please. Please. The pharmacist looked away, unable to meet Sarah's eyes. I'm sorry. Sarah stood there for a long moment. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Other customers glanced at her, then quickly looked away. She turned and walked out back into the rain. Mommy, are we going home? Liam's voice was so weak she could barely hear it. In a minute, baby. Just rest. She sat down on a bench outside the pharmacy, holding Liam against her chest, trying to shield him from the rain with her body. The water soaked through her jacket, her shirt, her skin. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know where to go. She had no one left to call. Maybe she should go back to her mother's house, sleep on the couch. Let Barbara criticize her every day for the rest of her life. At least Liam would have food. But even as she thought it, she knew it wasn't really an option. Her mother had made it clear she didn't want them there, and Sarah couldn't subject Liam to that toxic environment. He'd already been through enough. She closed her eyes. The rain fell harder. And then everything went dark. Her knees buckled. She felt herself falling, felt the cold, wet concrete rushing up to meet her. She curled her body around Liam, protecting him, even as she collapsed. Mommy! Liam's frightened cry seemed to come from very far away. Sarah tried to get up, but her body wouldn't obey. She was so tired, so hungry, so completely drained. Hey, are you all right? A voice cut through the haze. Sharp. Commanding. Sarah forced her eyes open. A man was kneeling beside her holding a large black umbrella over them both. He was tall, wearing an expensive charcoal suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. His jaw was sharp, his eyes dark and intense. "I'm fine," she whispered. "Just tired. I haven't eaten today. My son, he's sick." The man looked at Liam. Really looked at him. Taking in the flushed cheeks, the shallow breathing, the way his small body trembled against Sarah's chest. Something flickered in his eyes. Recognition, maybe. Or memory. "I'll call an ambulance," he said, reaching for his phone. "No." Panic shot through Sarah's voice. "We can't afford it. The bills, we don't have insurance, please. Just help me get him home." The man studied her for a long moment. His expression was unreadable, hard. Then he tucked his phone back into his pocket. "My car's right there." He nodded toward a sleek black Mercedes parked at the curb. "Let me drive you." Sarah hesitated. Every instinct told her not to get into a car with a stranger. But what choice did she have? Liam was burning up. The rain wasn't stopping, and she couldn't stand on her own. "Okay," she whispered. "Thank you." The man helped her to her feet. His grip was strong, steady, surprisingly gentle. Then he lifted Liam from her arms carefully, like he was handling something precious, and carried him to the car. He opened the back door and placed Liam on the leather seat. Sarah climbed in beside her son, pulling him close. The man got behind the wheel. "Where to?" "Sunrise Apartments, on Oak Street, South Side." He nodded and pulled away from the curb. The car was warm and smelled of expensive leather. Sarah hugged Liam against her, feeling small and out of place in this world of luxury. She watched the rain stream down the windows and wondered if this was real or if she was hallucinating from hunger. When they reached her apartment building, the man parked but didn't get out right away. He sat for a moment, staring at the run-down building with its peeling paint and broken gutters. Then he said, "Wait here." Before Sarah could respond, he got out of the car and walked across the street. She watched through the rain-streaked window as he entered the pharmacy. The same pharmacy that had just turned her away. A few minutes later, he came back carrying a white paper bag. He got in the car and handed it to her. "Cough syrup, children's Tylenol, thermometer." He paused. "There's also a sandwich and some juice for your son. And something for you." Sarah stared at the bag like it was made of gold. "I don't understand. Why are you doing this?" The man's jaw tightened. He looked out the window, avoiding her eyes. "Someone helped my mother once. A long time ago, when no one else would." His voice was quiet, rough with something that sounded like old pain. "She always told me to pay it forward, so that's what I'm doing." Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. "Thank you. I don't know how to. I'll pay you back, I swear. As soon as I get a job." "Don't worry about it." He started the engine. "Just take care of your son." "Wait." Sarah touched his arm. "What's your name?" He turned to look at her. For a moment, something softened in those hard eyes. "Marcus," he said. "Marcus Callahan." Then he got out of the car, walked around to her door, and helped her and Liam out. He watched as she carried her son toward the building, standing in the rain, without seeming to notice it. At the entrance, Sarah turned back. "Thank you, Marcus, really." He nodded once. Then he got in his car and drove away. Sarah watched the Mercedes disappear around the corner. She didn't know who Marcus Callahan was. She didn't know why he'd stopped to help when everyone else had walked by. But she knew one thing. He had saved her son's life. Inside the apartment, she gave Liam the medicine and made him drink the juice. She fed him the sandwich in small bites, making sure he chewed slowly, watching the color slowly return to his cheeks. When he finally fell asleep, she opened the bag again. There was a second sandwich inside. Turkey and cheese on fresh bread. and a note. Eat something. You can't take care of him if you don't take care of yourself. M. Sarah ate the sandwich, slowly savoring every bite. It was the first real food she'd had in 3 days. She felt strength returning to her body, clarity returning to her mind. That night, she sat by Liam's bed, touching his forehead every hour. By morning, his fever had broken. His cough had eased. When he opened his eyes, they were clear and bright again. "Mommy." He reached for her hand. "I feel better." "I know, baby." She kissed his forehead. "I know." She stood by the window, watching the sun rise over Chicago. The rain had stopped. The sky was turning pink and gold. She thought about everything that had happened in the past 3 days. The betrayal, the hunger, the rejection from everyone she thought she could count on. And then the stranger in the expensive suit who had stopped when no one else would. She didn't know what today would bring. She didn't know how she was going to pay the rent, or find a job, or rebuild her life from the ashes Derek had left behind. But for the first time since he'd walked out, she felt something stir in her chest. Hope. She wasn't going to give up. Not for herself. And definitely not for Liam. Whatever came next, she would face it. She would fight. She would survive. Because that's what mothers do. The next morning came with a knock at the door that made Sarah's heart stop. She had just finished giving Liam his second dose of medicine when the sound echoed through the apartment. 3 sharp knocks. Impatient. Demanding. "Stay here, baby," she whispered to Liam, who was sitting up in bed looking almost like himself again. She walked to the door and looked through the peephole. "Mr. Kowalski." Again. She opened the door before he could knock a second time. "Mr. Kowalski, I know what you're going to say. 4 days, Sarah." He held up 4 fingers. "That's all you have left. I gave you 5 days yesterday. Now it's 4. Do you have the money or not? I'm working on it. I have some leads on jobs. Leads don't pay my bills." His voice softened slightly, but his eyes remained hard. "Look, I'm not a monster. I know you're going through something. But I've got a mortgage, a wife with medical bills, and 3 other tenants who pay on time every month. I can't keep making exceptions." "I understand. I just need a little more time." 4 days. He turned to leave, then stopped. "And Sarah, start packing, just in case." The door closed. Sarah leaned against it, fighting the urge to scream. 4 days. 96 hours. That's all she had before she and Liam would be on the street. She walked back to the bedroom. Liam was watching her with those big brown eyes that saw everything. "Mommy, are we in trouble?" "No, baby. Everything's fine. Are you hungry?" Liam nodded eagerly. "Can we have pancakes?" Sarah thought about the empty refrigerator. Then she remembered the $100 she'd found in the bag from Marcus, tucked beneath the sandwiches. She'd almost missed it last night. "You know what? Let's go get some groceries. How does that sound?" Liam's face lit up like Christmas morning. "Really? Can we get cereal too?" "We can get whatever you want, baby." They walked to the corner store together, Liam holding her hand and chattering about everything he wanted to eat. Sarah listened, smiling, trying to hold on to this moment of normalcy. At the store, she was careful. Bread, milk, eggs, peanut butter, a box of Liam's favorite cereal, some apples that weren't bruised, children's vitamins. She counted every penny, making sure she'd have enough left over for emergencies. The total came to $34.67. She handed over 2 20s and pocketed the change like it was gold. On the way home, they passed the cafe on State Street. Sarah deliberately crossed to the other side, pulling Liam along. "Mommy, why are we walking over here? Just felt like a change, baby." She couldn't look at that cafe. Couldn't risk seeing Derek in there again, laughing with his new woman while his son had been starving. The rage that burned in her chest was too hot, too dangerous. She had to keep it contained. Back at the apartment, she made Liam scrambled eggs and toast. Real butter this time. She watched him eat, feeling something unknot in her chest with every bite he took. "This is so good, Mommy." He grinned at her egg on his chin. "You're the best cook ever." "Thank you, baby. Now eat up. You need your strength." After breakfast, Sarah sat down at the kitchen table with her laptop. She had 4 days to find a job, 4 days to come up with rent money, 4 days to save their lives. She applied for everything: waitress positions, retail jobs, cleaning services, data entry, customer service. She must have sent out 50 applications that morning, tailoring each cover letter trying to sound professional and capable, despite the desperation clawing at her throat. By noon, her inbox was still empty. By 3 o'clock, she'd received 2 automated rejections. By 5, she was starting to lose hope again. Then her phone rang. She grabbed it, heart pounding. An unknown number with a Chicago area code. "Hello? Is this Sarah Mitchell?" "Yes, speaking." "This is Karen from Clean Right Services. We received your application for the night cleaning position. Are you still interested?" Sarah's heart soared. "Yes, absolutely. I'm very interested." "Great. Can you come in for an interview tomorrow at 10 a.m.? "I'll be there. Thank you so much." She hung up and let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. It wasn't much, but it was something. A chance. That night, she read Liam 3 bedtime stories and tucked him in with his teddy bear. She kissed his forehead and whispered, "Things are going to get better, baby. I promise." "I know, Mommy." He yawned. "You always fix everything." If only that were true. The next morning, Sarah dropped Liam off with Mrs. Patterson from next door, the elderly widow who had always been kind to them despite everything, and took the bus to Clean Right Services. The office was in a dingy strip mall on the south side. Sarah walked in wearing her best blouse and her only pair of dress pants, both slightly wrinkled from being shoved in the back of her closet. Karen, the manager, was a tired-looking woman in her 50s with gray roots showing through her dyed blonde hair. "So, Sarah, tell me about your cleaning experience." "I've been managing a household for 6 years. I'm thorough, reliable, and I'm willing to work whatever hours you need." Karen nodded, scribbling notes. "The position is night shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., 5 days a week. It's $14 an hour, no benefits. You'd be cleaning office buildings downtown. Can you handle that?" Sarah thought about Liam. Who would watch him at night? How would she manage? But she didn't have a choice. "Yes, I can handle that." Karen looked up, studying her face. "You seem desperate. No offense, but I've seen a lot of desperate people come through here. They take the job, work a week, then quit when something better comes along." "I won't quit." Sarah met her eyes. "I have a son who depends on me. I'll do whatever it takes." Karen stared at her for a long moment. Then she nodded. "All right, you start Monday. Be here at 9:30 for orientation." Sarah walked out of that office feeling like she'd just won the lottery. It wasn't much, $14 an hour, night shifts, no benefits, but it was income. It was survival. She calculated quickly in her head. If she worked 5 nights a week, 8 hours a night, that was $560 a week before taxes. Maybe $450 after. Rent was $800 a month. Utilities, another $150. Food, transportation. Liam's needs. It would be tight. Impossibly tight. But it might be enough. She picked up Liam from Mrs. Patterson's and splurged on McDonald's for lunch. Liam was overjoyed, dipping his nuggets in ketchup and chattering about the cartoons he'd watched with Miss Patterson. "Mommy, you look happy," he said through a mouthful of fries. "I am happy, baby. Mommy got a job today." "Does that mean we can stay in our house?" Sarah's throat tightened. "Yes, baby, we're staying." But as they walked home, reality began to set in. She started Monday. The first paycheck wouldn't come for 2 weeks, and rent was due in 3 days. She still didn't have the money. That evening, after Liam was in bed, Sarah sat at the kitchen table staring at the bills. She had $65 left from Marcus's money. Rent was $800. Even if she sold everything she owned, she wouldn't come close. She thought about calling her mother again, begging, groveling, whatever it took. But she already knew the answer she'd get. Barbara Mitchell didn't help. She judged. She criticized. She made everything worse. She thought about calling Jennifer, but her sister had made herself clear. Sarah was on her own. There was one other option, one she'd been avoiding. She picked up her phone and stared at the screen. The text message from Marcus was still there, sent the day after he'd helped them. Hope the little one is feeling better. If you need anything else, this is my number. M. She hadn't responded. It felt wrong somehow taking more from a stranger who'd already given so much. But what choice did she have? Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She typed, deleted, typed again. Finally, she hit send. Hi, Marcus. This is Sarah, the woman you helped in the rain. I wanted to thank you again. My son is doing much better because of you. I don't know how to repay your kindness. She set the phone down, not expecting a response. It buzzed 30 seconds later. Glad to hear he's better. No repayment necessary. Just pay it forward someday. Sarah stared at the message. She should leave it there. Should let him go back to his life and figure out her own problems. But desperation has a way of overriding pride. She typed again. I know this is incredibly forward, but I'm in a difficult situation. I got a job, but my first paycheck won't come for 2 weeks. My rent is due in 3 days. I'm about to be evicted. I don't know anyone else to ask. If there's any way you could help, I would pay back every cent. I swear on my son's life. She stared at the message for a full minute before hitting send. The response came immediately. Meet me tomorrow, 10 a.m., 1845 Lakeshore Drive. We'll talk. Sarah's hands trembled. Lakeshore Drive. That was the Gold Coast. The wealthiest neighborhood in Chicago. Who was Marcus Callahan? The next morning, she dropped Liam with Mrs. Patterson again and took the train to the Gold Coast. As the buildings got taller and the streets got cleaner, Sarah felt more and more out of place. Her thrift store clothes, her scuffed shoes, her unwashed hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She didn't belong here. 1845. Lakeshore Drive was a mansion. There was no other word for it. Stone walls, iron gates, a circular driveway with a fountain in the center. Sarah stood at the gate, frozen with intimidation. Can I help you? A security guard approached. I'm here to see Marcus Callahan. My name is Sarah Mitchell. The guard checked a list, then nodded. Go ahead. Front door. The gates swung open. Sarah walked up the driveway, her heart pounding so loud she was sure everyone could hear it. A woman in a crisp business suit answered the door. Mrs. Mitchell, please follow me. Sarah followed her through a foyer that was bigger than her entire apartment. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, art on the walls that probably cost more than she'd make in her lifetime. They stopped at a set of double doors. The woman knocked once, then opened them. Mr. Callahan, your 10 o'clock is here. Marcus was sitting behind a massive oak desk, wearing another expensive suit. He looked up when Sarah entered, his expression unreadable. Sarah, please sit down. She sat in a leather chair that probably cost more than her car used to. Thank you for seeing me, she said. I know this is unusual. You need money. It wasn't a question. I need a loan, just until my first paycheck. I'll pay back every cent with interest. Marcus leaned back in his chair, studying her. How much? $800 for rent. I have a job now cleaning offices at night, but the first check won't come for 2 weeks. If I don't pay by Friday, my landlord is going to evict us. And you came to me. I have no one else. Sarah's voice cracked, despite her efforts to stay composed. My husband took everything when he left. My family won't help. My friends have disappeared. You're the only person who's shown me any kindness in weeks. I know I have no right to ask. I'll give you the money. Sarah blinked. What? I said I'll give you the money, but not as a loan. I can't accept charity. It's not charity. Marcus stood and walked to the window looking out at the city below. It's a test. A test. He turned to face her. I've been watching you since that day in the rain. I do that, sometimes find people in need, see what they're made of. Most people, when you give them money, they take it and run. They spend it on themselves. They forget where it came from. Sarah didn't understand where this was going. I would never. I know. He smiled slightly. That's why I'm offering you something else. Something better than $800. What? A job. At my foundation, the Callahan Foundation. We run programs for underprivileged children, tutoring, mentoring, after-school activities. I need someone to help coordinate the volunteers. It's Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. $52,000 a year plus benefits. Health insurance for you and your son. Sarah's mouth fell open. $52,000. Is that a problem? No, I don't understand. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. Why would you offer me this? Marcus walked back to his desk and sat down. I told you. Someone helped my mother once. She was a single mother too. My father left when I was 3. We had nothing. No money, no family, no hope. She was about to be evicted when a stranger offered her a job. Changed her life. Changed mine. What happened to her? She worked hard, built a career, put me through college. She passed away 5 years ago, but before she died, she made me promise to help others the way she was helped. He paused. When I saw you in the rain holding your sick son, I saw her. I saw myself. I couldn't walk away. Sarah felt tears streaming down her face. She wiped them away quickly. I don't know what to say. Say yes. But the cleaning job I already committed. Call them. Tell them you found something better. They'll understand. Sarah's mind raced. This was too good to be true. There had to be a catch. What do you want from me? She asked carefully. What's the real price? Marcus's expression hardened. I don't want anything from you, Sarah. Not like that. I'm offering you a job because I think you deserve a chance. If you do well, you keep the job. If you don't, we part ways, that's all. She studied his face, looking for any sign of deception. But there was none, just tired honesty. Okay, she heard herself say. Yes, I'll take the job. Marcus nodded. Good. You start Monday. Be here at 8:30 for orientation. He opened a desk drawer and pulled out an envelope. This is an advance on your first paycheck. $500. Pay your rent. Buy your son some new clothes. Get back on your feet. Sarah took the envelope with trembling hands. I will pay you back. Every cent. Just do your job well. That's all the payment I need. She stood to leave, then turned back. Marcus, thank you for everything. I won't let you down. Something flickered in his eyes. Pain maybe, or hope. I know you won't. Sarah floated home. She paid Mr. Kowalski in cash, watching his eyebrows rise in surprise. She took Liam shopping for new sneakers, ones that actually fit, and a new winter coat. She bought groceries for a week, real groceries, meat and vegetables and fresh fruit. That night, as she made dinner, Liam sat at the kitchen table doing a puzzle. Mommy, are we rich now? Sarah laughed. No, baby. We're not rich, but we're going to be okay. Because of your new job? Yes, because of my new job. Is the nice man from the rain your boss now? Sarah paused. Yes, he is. I like him. He smelled nice, like Daddy used to. The mention of Derek sent a chill through Sarah's chest, but she pushed it down. Eat your dinner, baby. Monday came fast. Sarah arrived at the Callahan Foundation at 8:15, 15 minutes early, wearing the nicest outfit she could assemble from her limited wardrobe. The building was beautiful. A renovated brownstone in Lincoln Park, filled with bright colors and children's artwork. Sarah could hear laughter coming from somewhere inside. A woman met her at the reception desk. "You must be Sarah. I'm Diana, the volunteer coordinator." "Well, I was. You're taking over for me. I'm moving to the education department. Let me show you around." Diana walked her through the building, explaining everything. The tutoring rooms, the art studio, the cafeteria where they served free meals, the playground out back. "We serve about 200 kids a week," Diana said. "Most of them from low-income families. Single parents, foster kids, you name it. This place is a lifeline for them." Sarah thought about Liam, about how easily they could have ended up on the other side of this equation. "It's amazing," she said. "How does Marcus fund all this?" Diana smiled. "He's worth about $2 billion. Sold his tech company 5 years ago. Now he spends most of his time and money on philanthropy. He's a good man, even if he doesn't always show it." "What do you mean?" "He's intense, keeps people at a distance, but his heart's in the right place. You'll see." Sarah dove into the work. Scheduling volunteers, organizing supply drives, calling parents to check on attendance. It was busy, demanding, and exactly what she needed. For the first time in months, she had a purpose beyond just surviving. But not everyone was happy about her sudden arrival. On Wednesday, she overheard 2 women talking in the break room. "Did you hear how she got hired? Marcus literally picked her up off the street. I heard she was crying in front of the building, begging for money. And now she's volunteer coordinator. Some of us have been working here for years." Sarah froze outside the door. The words hit her like physical blows. "I bet there's more to it. You don't just give a stranger a job like that. There's always something going on." Sarah walked away before she could hear more. Her face burned with shame. Her hands trembled with anger. But she didn't confront them. She didn't say a word. Instead, she went back to her desk and worked harder. She would prove herself. She would show everyone, the gossips, the doubters, her own family, that she deserved to be here. No one was going to take this chance away from her. No one. 2 weeks passed and Sarah threw herself into the job like her life depended on it. Because it did. She arrived early every morning. She stayed late every evening. She memorized the names of every child in the program, every volunteer, every parent. She reorganized the filing system that had been a mess for years. She created a new scheduling app that made everyone's job easier. And slowly, the whispers began to fade. Not completely. Some people still looked at her sideways in the break room. Some still fell silent when she walked by. But others were starting to warm up, starting to see that she wasn't just some charity case Marcus had picked up off the street. She was good at this job, really good. On Friday of her 3rd week, Marcus called her into his office. Sarah's heart pounded as she walked down the hall. Had she done something wrong? Was he having second thoughts about hiring her? She knocked on the door. "Come in." Marcus was sitting behind his desk, reading something on his laptop. He looked up when she entered and gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit down, Sarah. We need to talk." Those words, "we need to talk," they never meant anything good. "Is everything okay?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "More than okay." Marcus closed his laptop and leaned back. "I've been watching your work. Diana says you've transformed the volunteer program in 3 weeks. Parent satisfaction is up. Volunteer retention is up. Even the kids seem happier." Sarah exhaled. "I'm just doing my job." "You're doing more than that." He paused, studying her face. "I want to offer you a promotion." "A promotion? Already." "Assistant Director of Programs. It's a step up from coordinator. More responsibility, more oversight. And a raise $68,000 a year." Sarah's mouth fell open. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes. Yes, absolutely yes. Thank you." Marcus nodded, but something in his expression shifted, became more serious. "There's something else. Something I need to tell you before you accept." Sarah's stomach tightened. Here it was, the catch. "I've done some research on your husband, Derek Mitchell." The name hit her like a slap. "Why?" "Because I wanted to understand your situation better, and because I don't like surprises." Marcus pulled a folder from his desk drawer. Derek Mitchell, age 34, former financial analyst at Henderson and Associates, fired 6 months ago for embezzlement. Embezzlement. He was stealing from client accounts, small amounts at first, then larger. The company discovered it and terminated him quietly to avoid scandal. No charges were filed because they didn't want the publicity. Sarah felt the room spinning. "I had no idea." "I'm not surprised. He was very good at hiding things." Marcus opened the folder. After he was fired, he started gambling. Online poker, sports betting, eventually casinos. He burned through his severance in 2 months. Then he started burning through your savings. The $47,000 he took. Probably gone by now. Gambling debts, bad investments, expensive girlfriends. Men like Derek don't stop until they've destroyed everything around them. Sarah sat in stunned silence. All those years, all those lies. She'd been married to a stranger. "Why are you telling me this?" Marcus closed the folder. "Because I believe in being prepared. Derek is out of money. He's desperate. And desperate men do desperate things." He leaned forward. "Has he tried to contact you?" "Once. A text message telling me to stop calling him." "That was 3 weeks ago. Things have changed since then. I think he's going to come back." "Come back? For what? I don't have anything." "You have a job now. You have stability. And you have something he can leverage." "What?" "Your son." The word hit Sarah like a physical blow. "Liam, he wouldn't." "He would. Men like Derek use children as weapons. Custody battles, threats, manipulation. He'll do whatever it takes to get what he wants." Sarah's hands were shaking. "What do I do?" "You prepare. I have lawyers the best in Chicago. If Derek tries anything, we'll be ready. But you need to stay alert. Don't let him catch you off guard." "Why are you doing all this for me?" Sarah asked, her voice breaking. "I'm nobody. I'm just some woman you found in the rain." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. "My father was like Derek. Charming on the outside. Rotten on the inside. He left my mother with nothing when I was 3 years old. She nearly died trying to keep us alive." He paused. "I swore I would never let that happen to another woman. Not if I could help it." Sarah wiped her eyes. "Thank you, Marcus, for everything." "Don't thank me yet. This isn't over." He was right. 3 days later, Derek showed up at the foundation. Sarah was in her office reviewing volunteer schedules when Diana burst through the door. "Sarah, there's a man in the lobby asking for you. He says he's your husband." Sarah's blood ran cold. "What does he want?" "He won't say. But he's making a scene. Marcus is out of the building, and I don't know what to do." Sarah stood up slowly. Her legs felt like they were made of water. "I'll handle it." She walked to the lobby, each step feeling like a mile. And there he was. Derek. He looked different, thinner, paler. His eyes had a desperate, hungry look that she'd never seen before. His clothes were wrinkled, his hair unwashed. He looked like a man who was falling apart. "Sarah?" He smiled when he saw her, but it didn't reach his eyes. "There you are. I've been looking everywhere for you." "What are you doing here, Derek?" "Can't a husband visit his wife at work?" He spread his arms wide. "Nice place. I hear you're moving up in the world. Assistant director, right? That's quite a promotion for someone who was begging on the street a month ago." Sarah felt the eyes of everyone in the lobby on her. The receptionist, the volunteers, parents waiting to pick up their children. "Let's talk outside," she said through clenched teeth. "Why embarrassed of me?" Derek laughed, but there was an edge to it. "You didn't used to be embarrassed of me. Remember our wedding? You couldn't stop telling everyone how lucky you were. That was before you abandoned me and Liam, before you stole everything we had. Derek's smile faded. I didn't steal anything. That was our money. Half of it was mine. You took all of it, every cent. You left us to starve Derek. Our son was sick and hungry, and you were eating steak with your girlfriend. Keep your voice down. Derek stepped closer, his eyes hardening. You don't want to make a scene, Sarah. Trust me. What do you want? I want to see my son. No. The word came out before she could stop it. Hard. Final. Derek's face twisted. He's my son too. I have rights. You lost your rights when you walked out on him. When you took his college fund and gambled it away. Who told you that? Derek's voice rose. Did your rich boyfriend tell you that? Is that what's going on here? You're sleeping with the boss now. Sarah slapped him. The sound echoed through the lobby. Everyone went silent. Derek touched his cheek, shock in his eyes. Then the shock turned to rage. You're going to regret that, he said quietly. I'm going to take Liam away from you. I'm going to tell the court what kind of mother you really are. Unstable, unemployed, living off the charity of strange men. You think any judge is going to give you custody after that? Get out. I'm not going anywhere until... She said get out. A voice came from behind Sarah. Deep, commanding. She turned. Marcus was standing in the doorway, flanked by 2 security guards. His face was calm, but his eyes were ice. Derek sized him up. So, you're the billionaire who's been taking care of my wife. How much is she charging you? Must be good if you're giving her a job and a promotion. Marcus didn't flinch. You have 30 seconds to leave this building. After that, these gentlemen will escort you out, and I'll have you arrested for trespassing and harassment. You can't do that. I have every right to be here. This is private property. You have no rights here. Marcus stepped forward. 20 seconds. Derek looked from Marcus to Sarah to the security guards. The desperation in his eyes flickered, then hardened into something ugly. This isn't over, he said to Sarah. I'll see you in court, and when I'm done, you'll be lucky if you get supervised visits. He turned and walked out, slamming the door behind him. Sarah stood frozen. Her whole body was shaking. She felt like she might collapse. Sarah. Marcus's voice was gentle now. Come with me. He led her to his office and closed the door. He poured her a glass of water and made her sit down. Drink. Slowly. She obeyed, her hands trembling so badly she almost spilled it. He's going to try to take Liam, she whispered. He's not going to take anyone. Marcus sat across from her. I told you I have lawyers, the best in Chicago. I'm going to call them right now. By tomorrow, we'll have a restraining order against Derek. By next week, we'll have a custody motion filed that will make sure he never gets near Liam again. Why would any judge listen to me over him? He was right. I was unemployed, homeless, desperate. And now you're not. Now you have a job, a stable income, a support system. You're a good mother, Sarah. Anyone can see that. We're going to prove it in court. Sarah looked at him, tears streaming down her face. I can't afford lawyers. The best in Chicago must cost. I'm paying for it. Marcus, no. You've already done too much. I can't let you. This isn't charity, Sarah. This is an investment. He leaned forward. I told you my father was like Derek. I watched him destroy my mother in court. Watched him lie and manipulate until she had nothing left. She lost custody of me for 2 years. 2 years I had to live with a man who didn't care about me, who only wanted to hurt her through me. His voice cracked slightly. I'm not going to let that happen to Liam. Not while I'm breathing. Sarah broke down completely. All the fear, all the stress, all the trauma of the past weeks came pouring out in a flood of tears. Marcus sat quietly, letting her cry. When she finally calmed down, He handed her a tissue. Better? No. She laughed weakly. But thank you. Go home. Be with your son. My lawyer will call you tonight to get started on the paperwork. Sarah nodded and stood to leave. At the door she turned back. Marcus, I don't know why you're doing all this for me, but I want you to know I'm going to pay you back. Somehow. Someday. I'm going to pay back every cent. Marcus smiled. It was the first real smile she'd ever seen from him. I know you will. That night, Sarah held Liam extra close at bedtime. She read him 4 stories instead of 3. She let him stay up an extra 30 minutes to watch cartoons. Mommy, are you sad? He asked, looking up at her with those big brown eyes. A little bit, baby, but I'm okay. Is it because of Daddy? Sarah's heart clenched. What do you know about Daddy? I heard you talking on the phone. You sounded angry. Liam's voice was small. Is Daddy a bad man? Sarah didn't know what to say. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that his father is a monster, that the man he used to worship is trying to destroy their lives? Daddy made some bad choices, she said finally. He hurt Mommy, and he hurt you even if you don't remember. But none of that is your fault. Okay, you did nothing wrong. Does Daddy still love me? The question broke her heart. I think Daddy loves you in his own way, baby, but sometimes adults aren't very good at showing it. Liam was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I love you, Mommy. You're the best mom in the whole world. Sarah pulled him close, tears streaming down her face. I love you too, baby. More than anything. The next few weeks were a blur of legal meetings and court filings. Marcus's lawyers were everything he'd promised: smart, aggressive, and completely ruthless. They dug up every piece of evidence against Derek. The embezzlement, the gambling, the girlfriend he'd been keeping in an apartment downtown while Sarah and Liam were starving. They filed for a restraining order. They filed for full custody. They filed for child support. Derek fought back. Of course he did. He hired his own lawyer, a sleazy guy named Patterson, who specialized in dirty divorce cases. He accused Sarah of being an unfit mother. He accused Marcus of having an inappropriate relationship with her. He demanded joint custody visitation rights access to Liam's school records. The first custody hearing was set for a Tuesday morning in mid-December. Sarah barely slept the night before. She kept running through worst-case scenarios in her head. What if the judge believed Derek? What if she lost Liam? What if everything she'd worked for was taken away? She arrived at the courthouse at 8 a.m. Marcus and his lawyer by her side. Derek was already there, looking cleaned up for once, wearing a suit that was probably borrowed or rented. Patterson stood next to him, whispering in his ear. All rise. The Honorable Judge Patricia Morrison presiding. They stood. Sarah's knees were shaking. Judge Morrison was a stern-looking woman in her 60s, with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She looked at Derek, then at Sarah, then at the lawyers. Let's begin. Mr. Patterson, your client is seeking joint custody of the minor child Liam Mitchell. Present your case. Patterson stood up, straightening his cheap tie. Your Honor, my client is a loving father who has been denied access to his son for nearly 2 months. The mother, Sarah Mitchell, has been poisoning the child against his father and refusing all attempts at communication. We're asking for joint custody and regular visitation. Is that so? Judge Morrison turned to Sarah's lawyer. Ms. Chen, Linda Chen, the lead attorney Marcus had hired, stood up with quiet confidence. Your Honor, we have evidence that Mr. Mitchell abandoned his wife and child 3 months ago. He emptied their joint bank account $47,000 and left them with no money, no food, and no support. The child Liam was sick and malnourished when a stranger found them on the street. We have medical records to support this. She handed a folder to the bailiff, who passed it to the judge. Furthermore, we have evidence that Mr. Mitchell was terminated from his previous employer for embezzlement. He has a documented gambling addiction and is currently living with his girlfriend in an apartment he cannot afford. He has made no attempts to contact his son or provide any form of support. In fact, his only communication with Mrs. Mitchell was a text message telling her to, quote, "figure it out." Judge Morrison reviewed the documents, her expression darkening. "Mr. Mitchell," she said, looking directly at Derek. "Is this true? Did you abandon your wife and child?" Derek's lawyer jumped in. "Your Honor, my client was going through a difficult time." "I asked Mr. Mitchell." Derek swallowed hard. "We were having marital problems. I needed some space to—" "Space." Judge Morrison's voice was cold. "You needed space, so you took all the money and left your wife and 6-year-old son to starve?" "I didn't think—" "No, you didn't think." She set the folder down. "Mr. Patterson, I've seen enough. Your client has demonstrated a pattern of neglect, abandonment, and financial irresponsibility. I'm denying the request for joint custody." Derek shot to his feet. "You can't do that. He's my son." "Sit down, Mr. Mitchell, or I'll have you removed." Judge Morrison waited until he sat back down, fuming. "I'm granting full custody to the mother. Mr. Mitchell, you are ordered to pay $800 per month in child support. You may apply for supervised visitation in 6 months, provided you can demonstrate stable employment and completion of a parenting course." "This is ridiculous," Derek shouted. "She's the one who's unfit. She's sleeping with her boss." "One more outburst, and I'll hold you in contempt." Judge Morrison banged her gavel. "This hearing is adjourned." Sarah sat in stunned silence. It was over. She'd won. Liam was safe. Linda Chen squeezed her shoulder. "Congratulations, Sarah. You did it." Sarah looked across the courtroom at Derek. He was slumped in his chair, his face twisted with rage and defeat. Patterson was gathering his papers, already distancing himself from a losing client. For a moment, Sarah felt a flicker of something that might have been pity. This was the man she'd married, the man she'd loved, the father of her child. But then she remembered Liam's hollow cheeks, the empty refrigerator, the nights she'd gone without food so her son could eat. The pity disappeared. She stood up and walked out of the courtroom without looking back. Outside, Marcus was waiting. "How did it go?" "We won." Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. "Full custody." Marcus nodded, but he didn't smile. "Good. But stay vigilant. Men like Derek don't accept defeat gracefully." He was right. Again. That night, Sarah received a text from an unknown number. "This isn't over. You'll pay for what you did. Both of you." She showed it to Marcus the next morning. He forwarded it to the lawyers and the police. A restraining order was issued that afternoon. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming. Something bad. Derek was still out there. Still angry. Still desperate. And desperate men did desperate things. The threatening text was just the beginning. Over the next 2 weeks, Derek's harassment escalated. Sarah would find him parked outside her apartment building watching. He'd show up at Liam's school trying to talk to the teachers. He'd call from different numbers, leaving voicemails that ranged from pleading to threatening. "Sarah, please. I just want to see my son. I'm his father. You can't keep him from me." Then, an hour later, "You think you've won. You think your billionaire boyfriend can protect you. I'll destroy both of you, I swear to God." Sarah reported everything to the police. They documented it, added it to the restraining order violation file, but told her there wasn't much they could do unless he actually tried something. "He hasn't technically broken any laws," Officer Martinez explained apologetically. "Sitting in a public street isn't illegal. Calling from different numbers isn't illegal. We need him to actually attempt contact or approach you. So I'm supposed to wait until he hurts me or my son." "I'm sorry, ma'am. That's how the system works." Sarah hung up, feeling more helpless than ever. Marcus increased security at the foundation and hired a private security company to patrol Sarah's building. But she still couldn't sleep. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow looked like Derek. Liam noticed the change. "Mommy, why is there a man outside our building all the time?" "He's there to keep us safe, baby." "Safe from what?" Sarah didn't know how to answer that. Then, on a cold Tuesday evening in mid-January, everything came to a head. Sarah had just picked Liam up from his after-school program and was walking to her car in the parking lot. It was already dark, the winter sun having set hours ago. The security guard Marcus had hired was supposed to be there, but she didn't see him anywhere. Something felt wrong. She walked faster, gripping Liam's hand tightly. "Mommy, you're hurting me." "Sorry, baby. Just walk quickly, okay?" They were 10 feet from the car when Derek stepped out from behind a van. Sarah's heart stopped. "Hello, Sarah." He looked worse than the last time she'd seen him. Thinner. Darker circles under his eyes. His clothes were dirty, his hair greasy. But it was his eyes that scared her most. They had a wild, desperate look that she'd never seen before. "Derek, you're not supposed to be here. There's a restraining order." "I know. I don't care." He stepped closer. "I've lost everything, Sarah. My job, my money. My girlfriend left me last week when she found out I was broke. And whose fault is that?" "Yours. It's your fault, Derek." "No." He shook his head violently. "It's yours. You and your rich boyfriend. You turned everyone against me. You took my son. You destroyed my life." "You destroyed your own life. I just survived it." Derek lunged forward and grabbed Liam's arm. Liam screamed, "Mommy! Let go of him!" Sarah tried to pull Liam back, but Derek's grip was iron. "He's my son too. You can't keep him from me." "Derek, please, you're hurting him. Look at him. Look at your son." Liam was crying, tears streaming down his face, his small body shaking with fear. "Daddy, let go. You're scaring me." Something flickered in Derek's eyes. For a moment, just a moment, the madness receded. "Liam, buddy, I'm not trying to scare you. I just want to spend time with you. Don't you want to spend time with Daddy?" "I want Mommy. I want to go home." "This is Daddy's home too. Or it used to be. Before your mother ruined everything." "Derek." Sarah's voice was steady despite her terror. "Let him go. We can talk about this. Just you and me. Let Liam get in the car where it's warm." Derek hesitated. His grip loosened slightly. "You'll talk to me? Really talk?" "Yes, I promise. Just let him go." Derek looked at Liam, then at Sarah. Slowly, he released Liam's arm. Sarah pulled Liam behind her. "Baby, get in the car. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone except me." "But Mommy." "Go. Now." Liam ran to the car, climbed inside, and locked the doors. Sarah could see his face pressed against the window, watching. She turned back to Derek. "Talk," she said. "What do you want?" "I want my life back. I want my son back. I want you to stop poisoning him against me. I've never said a bad word about you to Liam. Not once. Even when you left us to starve. Even when you stole our money. I never told him what you really are. And what am I, Sarah? What am I really? You're a coward, a liar, a thief." She stepped closer, anger overriding her fear. "You took everything from us and walked away without looking back. You didn't care if we lived or died. You didn't care about your own son. So don't stand here and pretend to be a victim. You did this, all of it." Derek's face contorted with rage. "I did this. I was trying to fix things. The gambling. I was trying to win back the money I lost. The woman, she made me feel like a man again, something you never did. Everything I did was because you weren't enough. You were never enough." The words hit Sarah like a fist. She remembered all the times she'd believed him, all the times she'd wondered if she was the problem. If she'd just tried harder, loved better, been more. But now, standing here in the cold, dark parking lot, she finally saw the truth. It was never about her. It was always about him, his weakness, his selfishness, his inability to take responsibility for anything. "You're right," she said quietly. "I was never enough, for you, but I was always enough for Liam. I kept him alive when you left us with nothing. I found a job. I built a life. I gave him everything you couldn't: stability. Love a mother who would never abandon him. Don't you dare. You want to know the difference between us, Derek? When things got hard, you ran. When things got hard, I stayed. That's what parents do. That's what love does. And you have no idea what either of those things mean. Derek's hand shot out and grabbed her throat. Sarah gasped, clawing at his fingers. Her vision started to blur. I should have done this a long time ago. Derek hissed, his face inches from hers. Shut you up permanently. Make you understand what you've done to me. Sarah couldn't breathe. Her lungs were burning. She could hear Liam screaming from inside the car, pounding on the windows. This was it. This was how she was going to die. In a parking lot, at the hands of the man she'd once promised to love forever. Then she heard a sound. Footsteps. Running. Get your hands off her. The pressure on her throat disappeared. Sarah collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. Through blurred vision, she saw Marcus tackle Derek to the pavement. The two men struggled, fists flying, grunting with effort. Marcus was bigger, stronger, but Derek was fighting with the desperation of a cornered animal. You think you can take everything from me? Derek screamed. You think you can steal my wife, my son, my life? She was never yours to keep. Marcus landed a punch that sent Derek sprawling. You threw her away. You threw both of them away. Derek scrambled to his feet and pulled something from his jacket, a knife. Marcus, look out! Marcus dodged as Derek slashed at him. The blade caught his arm, tearing through his suit jacket. Blood bloomed on the fabric. Sarah's survival instinct kicked in. She looked around frantically and saw a metal trash can lid near the edge of the parking lot. She grabbed it and swung it at Derek's head with every ounce of strength she had. The impact made a sickening thud. Derek dropped the knife and fell to his knees, dazed. Marcus didn't hesitate. He grabbed Derek and pinned him face down on the pavement, twisting his arm behind his back. Sarah, call 911. Now. Sarah's hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold her phone, but she managed to dial, managed to speak, managed to give their location. They're on their way, she said. Marcus held Derek down as the man cursed and threatened and promised revenge. Sarah went to the car and opened the door. Liam threw himself into her arms, sobbing. Mommy, I was so scared. Is the bad man going to hurt us? No, baby, never again, I promise. The police arrived in under 5 minutes. They handcuffed Derek and put him in the back of a squad car. An ambulance came for Marcus, who insisted he was fine, even as blood soaked through his sleeve. You need stitches, the paramedic said firmly. I've had worse. Sir, I'm not asking. Marcus finally relented. He let them bandage his arm and promised to go to the hospital for proper treatment. Before he left, he walked over to Sarah, who was still holding Liam. Are you okay? I don't know. Her voice was hoarse from Derek's grip. I think so. You were brave. What you did with that trash can lid you probably saved my life. You definitely saved mine. They stood there for a moment looking at each other. Something passed between them. Gratitude, respect, something deeper that neither of them was ready to name. Go home, Marcus said finally. Get some rest. I'll call you tomorrow. Marcus? She grabbed his uninjured arm. Thank you. For everything. He nodded once, then walked to the ambulance. Sarah took Liam home, gave him a warm bath, made him hot chocolate, and let him sleep in her bed. She stayed awake all night, watching him breathe, feeling the weight of everything that had happened. Derek was in jail, charged with assault, attempted kidnapping, and violation of a restraining order. Marcus's lawyers were already working to make sure he stayed there for as long as possible. It was over. Really over this time. So why couldn't she stop shaking? The next morning, Sarah called her mother. She didn't know why. Maybe it was the near-death experience. Maybe she needed to hear a familiar voice. Maybe she was hoping that almost losing her daughter would finally make Barbara Mitchell act like a mother. Hello. Mom, it's Sarah. I know who it is. What do you want? Derek attacked me last night. In a parking lot. He choked me. He had a knife. I almost died. Silence on the other end. Mom? Did you hear me? I heard you. Barbara's voice was flat. Are you looking for sympathy? Sarah felt something crack inside her. I'm looking for my mother. I'm looking for someone who cares that I almost died. You should have listened to me from the beginning. I told you Derek was trouble. I told you not to marry him. But you never listen. You never... Sarah hung up. She stared at the phone for a long moment. Then she deleted her mother's number from her contacts. Some relationships couldn't be fixed. Some people couldn't be saved. And Sarah was done trying. That afternoon, she received an unexpected visitor. There was a knock at the door. Sarah looked through the peephole and froze. Jennifer, her sister, standing in the hallway with a bakery box in her hands and tears in her eyes. Sarah opened the door slowly. What are you doing here? I heard what happened. It's all over the news. Jennifer's voice broke. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I should have been there for you. You should have helped me when I begged you, when Liam was starving and I had no one else to call. I know. Jennifer was crying now. I was jealous. I was petty. I saw you struggling, and instead of helping, I felt like you deserved it somehow. Like you'd been too lucky for too long, and it was finally catching up to you. Too lucky I was married to an abuser, Jen. I lost everything. I know that now. I didn't see it then. I was too wrapped up in my own problems to see what you were really going through. Jennifer held out the bakery box. These are from that cafe you used to love. The one with the raspberry danishes. I know it doesn't make up for anything, but I wanted you to know I'm here now. If you'll let me. Sarah looked at her sister. At the tears. The genuine remorse. The desperate hope. A month ago, she would have slammed the door in her face. Told her it was too little too late. But she'd learned something these past few weeks. About strength. About forgiveness. About choosing which battles to fight and which ones to let go. Come in, she said finally. I'll make coffee. Jennifer stepped inside, looking around the small apartment with new eyes. This place is nice, cozy. It's home. Liam came running out of the bedroom. Auntie Jen. Jennifer dropped to her knees and hugged him tightly. Oh, baby, I've missed you so much. I missed you too. Are you staying for dinner? Jennifer looked at Sarah questioningly. She's staying, Sarah said. If she wants to. I want to. Jennifer wiped her eyes. I really want to. They spent the afternoon together. Jennifer helped Liam with a puzzle while Sarah made dinner real dinner with meat and vegetables and fresh bread. They talked about everything except Derek. Jennifer told stories about her kids, about work, about the stupid arguments she'd been having with her husband. Tom and I have been fighting a lot lately, she admitted. Money stuff. He lost a big client and we had to cut back. That's part of why I didn't help you. We were barely keeping our heads above water. You could have just told me that. I was ashamed. You were struggling, and I was supposed to be the successful one. The one who had it all figured out. I couldn't admit that I was drowning too. We're all drowning, Jen. The difference is whether we reach for each other or push each other under. Jennifer nodded, tears in her eyes again. I want to reach. From now on, I want to be your sister again. Then be here. Show up. Not just when there's drama, but for the boring stuff too. The school plays, the soccer games, the random Tuesday nights when I just need someone to talk to. I will, I promise. Sarah wanted to believe her, and maybe for the first time in a long time she did. That night after Jennifer left and Liam was asleep, Sarah sat by the window looking out at the city lights. Her neck still hurt where Derek had grabbed her. Her voice was still hoarse. Her hands still trembled when she thought about the knife. But she was alive. Liam was safe. And somehow, against all odds, they had made it through. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. How are you holding up? She thought about the question. Really thought about it. I don't know yet, she typed back. But I think I'm going to be okay. You're stronger than you know, Sarah. What you did last night most people would have frozen. You fought, you survived. Don't forget that. I won't. How's your arm? 12 stitches. The doctor says I'll have a cool scar. Sarah laughed despite everything. Very heroic. I try. Get some rest. I'll see you at work tomorrow. Marcus. Yes. Thank you. For being there. For being you. There was a long pause before his response came. Always. Sarah set the phone down and looked at Liam sleeping peacefully in her bed. He was clutching his teddy bear, his face relaxed, his breathing deep and even. He looked like an angel. She'd almost lost him tonight. Almost lost everything. But she hadn't. And she wouldn't. Not ever again. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of legal proceedings and emotional recovery. Derek pleaded guilty to avoid a trial. The evidence was overwhelming security camera footage from the parking lot. Marcus's testimony. Sarah's injuries. His lawyer advised him to take the deal. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, minimum. He'll serve at least 18 months before he's eligible for parole, Linda Chen explained. And with his record, parole is unlikely. You should have peace for a while. Peace. Sarah had almost forgotten what that felt like. The foundation threw a small party for her return to work. Diana made a cake. The children made cards. Even some of the staff members who had gossiped about her showed up with flowers and apologies. We didn't know. One of them said, a woman named Patricia, who had been one of the worst gossips. We didn't understand what you were going through. I'm sorry. Sarah accepted the apology. Not because Patricia deserved it, but because she was tired of carrying anger. Tired of letting other people's cruelty take up space in her heart. Marcus watched the party from his office doorway, a small smile on his face. Later, after everyone had gone home, he called Sarah in. Close the door. She did, her heart suddenly racing. Is everything okay? More than okay. He stood up and walked around the desk to face her. I've been thinking about the future, the foundation's future, and yours. My future. I want to expand the programs, double the number of kids we serve, open new locations in the South Side, the West Side, maybe even the suburbs. And I want you to lead it. Sarah's mouth fell open. Lead it? What do you mean? I mean, I want you to be the executive director, full authority over all programs, a seat on the board, a salary of $150,000 a year. Marcus, that's insane. I've only been here a few months. And in those few months you've accomplished more than anyone else has in years. You understand these families because you've been one of them. You know what they need because you've needed it yourself. That's not something you can learn in a business school. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Sarah looked at him, really looked at him. At the man who had stopped in the rain when everyone else walked by. Who had given her a chance when no one else would. Who had protected her and her son with everything he had. Why me? She asked quietly. Out of everyone in the world, why did you choose me? Marcus was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was rough with emotion. Because you reminded me of her, my mother. The way you held your son even when you were falling. The way you refused to give up. She was like that. She fought for me until the day she died. He paused. I couldn't save her. But maybe I could save you. Sarah felt tears sliding down her cheeks. You did save me, Marcus. You saved both of us. No. He shook his head. You saved yourself. I just gave you the tools. Everything you've accomplished, the job, the court case, surviving Derek, that was all you. Your strength, your determination, your love for your son. I couldn't have done it without you. Maybe, maybe not. But you would have found a way. I believe that. They stood there inches apart, the air between them charged with something neither of them was ready to name. Say yes, Marcus said again, softer this time. Sarah smiled through her tears. Yes, I'll do it. Good. He smiled back a real smile, the kind that transformed his whole face. Now go home and celebrate with your son. You've earned it. Sarah walked to the door, then turned back. Marcus, I think we should have dinner sometime. Not work dinner. Real dinner. He raised an eyebrow. Are you asking me out? Consider it a thank you for everything. I told you I don't need thanks. I know. That's why I want to give it to you anyway. He laughed, a warm, genuine sound that made Sarah's heart do something unexpected. All right, he said. Dinner, Saturday night. I'll pick you up at 7. It's a date. She left his office with a spring in her step, already thinking about what she would wear, what she would say, what this new chapter of her life might hold. For the first time in as long as she could remember, Sarah Mitchell was excited about the future. Saturday night arrived faster than Sarah expected. She stood in front of her closet staring at the few dresses she owned, feeling like a teenager before her first prom. Liam sat on her bed watching with amusement. Mommy, why are you so nervous? I'm not nervous, baby. I'm just trying to pick the right outfit. Wear the blue one. It makes your eyes look pretty. Sarah pulled out the blue dress, a simple wrap dress she'd bought on clearance 2 years ago. She held it up against herself and looked in the mirror. You think so? Mr. Marcus will love it. Sarah turned to look at her son. How do you know Mr. Marcus is coming? Because you've checked your phone like 1,000,000 times, and you're wearing your special perfume, and you keep smiling for no reason. When had her 6-year-old become so perceptive? Okay, you caught me. She sat down on the bed next to him. Mr. Marcus and I are having dinner tonight. Is that okay with you? Liam thought about it seriously, the way he always did when he was considering something important. Do you like him? I do. He's been very kind to us. Does he like you? I think so. Liam nodded slowly. Then it's okay, but only if he promises to take me to the park. Sarah laughed and hugged him. I'll make sure to tell him that's a condition. Jennifer arrived at 6:30 to babysit. She was carrying a bag full of games, snacks, and movies, enough entertainment to keep Liam busy for a week. You look amazing, Jennifer said when she saw Sarah. That dress is perfect. It's old. I should have bought something new. Stop. You're beautiful. Now go have fun and don't worry about anything. Liam and I are going to have the best night ever. Movie night, Liam shouted, already digging through Jennifer's bag. The doorbell rang at exactly 700. Sarah's heart jumped. She took a deep breath, smoothed down her dress, and opened the door. Marcus stood there in a dark suit, no tie, the top button of his shirt undone. He looked different outside of work, softer, somehow more human. He was holding a small bouquet of yellow roses. You look beautiful, he said. Sarah felt her cheeks flush. Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself. These are for you. He handed her the flowers. Yellow roses. They mean friendship and new beginnings. I thought that was appropriate. They're perfect. Jennifer appeared behind Sarah, Liam at her side. Hi, Mr. Marcus. Liam waved enthusiastically. Hey, buddy. You're getting taller every time I see you. I know Mommy says I'm going to be a giant. I said you're growing like a weed, Sarah corrected, laughing. Marcus knelt down to Liam's level. I hear you have some conditions for tonight. Liam nodded seriously. You have to take me to the park, the one with the big slide. Deal. Marcus extended his hand. Shake on it. Liam shook his hand with all the gravity of a business negotiation. Okay, you can take Mommy to dinner now. Everyone laughed. Sarah kissed Liam goodbye, hugged Jennifer, and followed Marcus to his car. The restaurant was in the Gold Coast, an intimate Italian place with candles on every table and soft music playing in the background. Marcus had reserved a quiet corner booth where they could talk without being overheard. This is nice, Sarah said, looking around. Very fancy. Too fancy. No, it's perfect. I haven't been anywhere like this in a long time. Neither have I, actually. Marcus poured water for both of them. I usually eat at my desk, or standing over the kitchen sink like a bachelor. A billionaire eating over the sink. That's not the image I had. Money doesn't change who you are on the inside. It just changes what you can afford. The waiter came and they ordered. Sarah chose the chicken parmesan. Marcus went for the veal. They shared a bottle of wine and talked about everything except work. Sarah learned that Marcus had grown up in the south side of Chicago in a one-bedroom apartment with his mother. He'd worked his way through college on scholarships and loans, then started a tech company in his garage at 24. He'd sold it for $2 billion 10 years later. And then what? Sarah asked. Then I looked around and realized I had everything money could buy and nothing that actually mattered. No family, no real friends. Just an empty mansion and 100 employees who called me sir. He swirled his wine. That's when I started the foundation. I figured if I couldn't find meaning in my own life, maybe I could help other people find it in theirs. That's why you helped me. Because you were looking for meaning. Partly. He set down his glass. But also because I saw something in you that I recognized. A fighter. Someone who wouldn't quit no matter how hard things got. I almost quit plenty of times. But you didn't. That's what matters. They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Sarah asked the question that had been on her mind for weeks. What happened to your father? You said he was like Derek, but you never told me what happened to him. Marcus's expression darkened. He went to prison when I was 12, fraud. He'd been running a Ponzi scheme for years, taking money from people who trusted him, including my mother. I'm sorry. Don't be. Prison was the best thing that ever happened to us. My mother finally got free of him. She started over, built a new life, raised me right. He paused. He died there in prison when I was 20. I didn't go to the funeral. Do you regret that? No. His voice was firm. He made his choices. I made mine. Some people don't deserve forgiveness, Sarah. They don't deserve the space they take up in your heart. Sarah thought about Derek. About the man she'd married, the life she'd imagined, the years she'd wasted, hoping he would change. I think I'm starting to understand that, she said quietly. After dinner, they walked along the lakefront. The night was cold but clear, the city lights reflecting on the water like scattered diamonds. Can I ask you something personal? Sarah said. Of course. Why haven't you ever gotten married? You're successful, you're kind, you're not bad looking. I'm sure plenty of women have been interested. Marcus laughed softly. Plenty have, but I've never trusted anyone enough to let them in. I saw what my mother went through with my father. I saw how love could be used as a weapon. I decided early on that I'd rather be alone than risk that kind of pain. And now, he stopped walking and turned to face her. Now I'm starting to think maybe I was wrong. Maybe some risks are worth taking. Sarah's heart was pounding. Marcus? I'm not saying this to pressure you. I know you've been through hell. I know the last thing you need is another man complicating your life. But I want you to know, whatever this is between us, I'm willing to take it slow. As slow as you need. What if I don't want to go slow? The words were out before she could stop them. She saw surprise flicker across Marcus's face, then something warmer. Then we won't. He kissed her. It was gentle at first, questioning, then deeper, more urgent, as if they'd both been waiting for this moment without knowing it. Sarah felt something unlock inside her, a part of herself she'd closed off years ago when she first realized her marriage was a lie. When they finally pulled apart, she was breathless. Wow, she said. Yeah. Marcus smiled. Wow. They walked back to the car hand in hand, not needing to fill the silence with words. Some moments were better felt than spoken. The next few months were the happiest Sarah could remember. She threw herself into her new role at the foundation, working with Marcus to expand the programs, hire new staff, and reach more families in need. The work was exhausting, but fulfilling in a way her old life had never been. She and Marcus grew closer, Slowly, carefully, the way two wounded people learn to trust again. He came to dinner at her apartment. She spent weekends at his mansion. Liam adored him. The park trips became a regular thing, followed by ice cream and movies. Jennifer visited every week, sometimes with her kids, sometimes alone. The sisters rebuilt their relationship one conversation at a time, patching over years of jealousy and resentment with honesty and forgiveness. Even work was going well. The gossip had stopped. Sarah had proven herself 100 times over, and now her colleagues respected her. Some even sought her advice. For the first time in her life, everything was falling into place. Then, one spring afternoon, Sarah received a phone call that changed everything. "Mrs. Mitchell, this is Sergeant Davis from the Cook County Sheriff's Department. I'm calling about Derek Mitchell." Sarah's blood ran cold. "What about him?" "He was released on parole this morning. I wanted to give you a heads up per the victim notification system." Released. He was supposed to serve at least 18 months. "Good behavior overcrowding early release program. I'm sorry, ma'am. I know this isn't what you wanted to hear." Sarah hung up and immediately called Marcus. "He's out," she said, her voice shaking. "Derek's out." Marcus was at her apartment within 20 minutes. "We need to increase security," he said, pacing the living room. "I'll hire bodyguards, install cameras, whatever it takes." What if that's not enough? What if he comes after us again? He'd be insane to try. He'd go back to prison immediately. He was insane before. That didn't stop him. Marcus stopped pacing and took her hands. "Listen to me. I will not let him hurt you or Liam, no matter what. You can't promise that. You can't be everywhere. Then we'll make sure we're never alone, not until we know he's moved on." But Derek hadn't moved on. 2 days later, Sarah found a letter in her mailbox. No postmark, hand-delivered. "I see you've been busy. Nice boyfriend, nice job, nice life. Enjoy it while it lasts." She showed it to the police. They said there was nothing they could do unless he violated the restraining order directly. "Letters aren't contact," Officer Martinez explained, sounding almost embarrassed. "If he shows up in person, calls you, or comes within 500 feet, we can arrest him. But this, it's technically anonymous. It's obviously from him. I believe you, but we need proof." Sarah went home feeling more helpless than she had since those first dark days after Derek left. That night she tucked Liam into bed and sat with him longer than usual. "Mommy, are you worried about something?" "A little bit, baby." "Is it the bad man again?" Sarah hesitated. She didn't want to scare him, but she also couldn't lie. "He might try to bother us again, but Mr. Marcus and I are going to make sure you stay safe. Okay?" Liam nodded solemnly. "I'm not scared, Mommy." "You're not?" "No, because you always protect me. You're the bravest person I know." Sarah hugged him tight, fighting back tears. "I love you, baby." "I love you too, Mommy. Forever and ever." The next week was tense. Sarah varied her routine, never taking the same route twice. Marcus hired a security guard to escort her to and from work. Liam started getting picked up from school by Jennifer, who had moved her schedule around to help. Nothing happened. No more letters. No sightings. No contact. Sarah started to hope that maybe Derek had gotten the message. Maybe he'd realized it wasn't worth going back to prison. Maybe he'd finally moved on. Then came the gala. The Callahan Foundation's annual fundraiser was the biggest event of the year. 2,000 guests, $5 million in donations, and every important person in Chicago in attendance. Sarah had been planning it for months. She wore a stunning black gown that Marcus had insisted on buying for her. Her hair was professionally done. Her makeup was flawless. She looked for the first time in her life like she belonged in this world. "You look incredible," Marcus said when he picked her up. "You've said that 3 times. And I'll say it 3 more. Because it's true." The gala was held in a grand ballroom downtown. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, a live orchestra. Sarah mingled with donors, thanked sponsors, and gave a speech about the foundation's work that earned a standing ovation. For a few hours, she forgot about Derek, forgot about fear, lost herself in the joy of seeing her hard work celebrated. Then, during the silent auction, she felt eyes on her. She turned and scanned the crowd. There, by the entrance, Derek. He was wearing a borrowed suit, his hair slicked back, a glass of champagne in his hand. He looked almost respectable, almost normal. Their eyes met across the ballroom. Derek smiled and raised his glass in a mock toast. Sarah's blood turned to ice. She found Marcus immediately. "He's here. Derek's here." Marcus's face hardened. "Where?" "By the entrance, in the gray suit." They both looked. Derek was gone. "I'll find him," Marcus said. "You stay here. Stay with people." "Marcus, don't." But he was already walking away. Security guards flanking him. Sarah stood in the middle of the crowd, heart pounding, trying to look normal. She smiled at donors who approached her, made small talk, laughed at jokes she didn't hear. 20 minutes passed, then 30. No sign of Marcus or Derek. She was about to go looking for them when her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Meet me in the garden, alone, or the next letter goes to a newspaper. I have photos of you and your billionaire. Very intimate photos. Very damaging for both of your reputations." Sarah's stomach dropped. Photos. He'd been watching them, following them, documenting everything. She looked around the ballroom. Everyone was laughing, drinking, celebrating. No one had any idea what was happening. She could ignore the text, call the police, let Marcus handle it. But if Derek released those photos, it would destroy everything. The foundation's reputation, Marcus's privacy, her own dignity. She had to face him. One last time. She slipped out a side door and walked to the garden behind the ballroom. It was dark, lit only by string lights and the distant glow of the city. Derek was waiting by the fountain. "Glad you could make it," he said. "What do you want, Derek?" "What I've always wanted. Money. Enough to start over somewhere else. 100,000 should do it." "I don't have that kind of money." "But your boyfriend does." Derek stepped closer. "Get it from him. I don't care how, or those photos go viral by morning." "What photos? You're bluffing." Derek pulled out his phone and showed her the screen. Pictures of her and Marcus at the restaurant, walking on the lakefront, kissing by his car. "I've been watching you for months," Derek said. "Every date, every kiss, every little moment. It was almost romantic, really." Sarah felt sick. "You're insane." "Maybe. But I'm also desperate. And desperate men do desperate things." He put the phone away. 100,000, by midnight, or I burn your whole life down." Sarah stood there, heart racing, mind spinning. She thought about everything she'd been through, everything she'd survived, all the times she'd been told she wasn't enough, couldn't do it, would never make it. And something inside her shifted. She was done being afraid. "No," she said. Derek blinked. "Excuse me. I said no. I'm not giving you anything. Not now. Not ever." "Did you hear what I said? I have photos?" "I don't care." Sarah stepped forward, her voice growing stronger. "You can release every photo you have. You can tell the whole world. You can try to destroy my reputation. But you know what? It won't work. Because I have nothing to hide." Derek's face twisted. "You're bluffing." "No, I'm not. I'm a woman who loves a good man. That's not shameful. That's not scandalous. That's just life." She took another step. "You want to know what is shameful? Abandoning your wife and son. Stealing from your family. Choking the mother of your child in a parking lot. That's you, Derek. That's your story, not mine." Derek's hand shot out and grabbed her arm. "You listen to me. No, you listen to me." Sarah didn't flinch. didn't look away. I spent years being afraid of you, being controlled by you, believing I was nothing without you. But I was wrong. I was always enough. I was just too scared to see it. Let go of her. Marcus's voice came from behind them. He emerged from the shadows, flanked by 2 security guards and a police officer. Derek's grip loosened. This is between me and my wife. Your ex-wife, Sarah corrected. And you're violating a restraining order. Again. The police officer stepped forward. Derek Mitchell, you're under arrest for violation of parole and harassment. You have the right to remain silent. They handcuffed Derek and led him away. He shouted threats and promises of revenge, but his voice grew fainter with each step. Then he was gone. Marcus rushed to Sarah. Are you okay? Did he hurt you? No, I'm fine. She took a shaky breath. I'm better than fine, actually. What happened? I finally stood up to him, for real this time. I told him he couldn't scare me anymore. She looked at Marcus, tears in her eyes. And I meant it. Marcus pulled her into his arms. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of me too. They stood there in the garden holding each other while the sounds of the gala drifted through the night. 2 broken people who had found each other in the rain. 2 survivors who had refused to give up. 1 month later, Derek was back in prison, this time for 5 years, with no possibility of early release. Sarah testified at his parole revocation hearing. She told the judge everything: the abandonment, the theft, the attack, the harassment. She spoke calmly, clearly, without tears. When it was over, she walked out of the courtroom feeling lighter than she had in years. Marcus was waiting for her in the hallway. How do you feel? Free, she said. Finally, truly free. That weekend, Marcus took Sarah and Liam to the park, the one with the big slide that Liam loved. They spent the whole afternoon playing, laughing, being a family. As the sun began to set, Marcus pulled Sarah aside. I have something for you. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Sarah's heart stopped. Marcus? Before you say anything, let me talk. He took a deep breath. I've spent my whole life being afraid of love, afraid of getting hurt, afraid of becoming my father. But you showed me that fear doesn't have to win. That trust is possible even after it's been broken. He opened the box. Inside was a simple diamond ring, elegant and beautiful. Sarah Mitchell, will you marry me? Tears streamed down Sarah's face. She thought about everything she'd been through, the hunger, the cold, the betrayal, the fear. And then she thought about now, the love, the hope, the family she'd built from nothing. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. Marcus slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her right there in the park while Liam cheered and clapped. Does this mean Mr. Marcus is going to be my daddy? Liam asked. Marcus knelt down to his level. Only if you want me to be. Liam threw his arms around Marcus's neck. I want you to be. I want you to be. Sarah watched them, her son, and the man she loved, and felt something she'd almost forgotten how to feel. Complete. The wedding was small, just family and close friends. Jennifer was the maid of honor. Liam was the ring bearer. The ceremony was held in the garden where Sarah had faced Derek for the last time, a reminder that even the darkest places could become beautiful. Sarah wrote her own vows. Marcus, you found me at my lowest point, when I had nothing, when I was nothing, and you saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. You gave me hope when I had none. You gave me strength when I was broken. You gave me a future when I thought I had no tomorrow. She paused, her voice thick with emotion. I promise to love you, to trust you, to fight for you the way you've fought for me. I promise to be your partner, your friend, your family, for the rest of my life. Marcus's vows were shorter, but just as powerful. Sarah, you taught me that love isn't weakness. It's the strongest thing there is. You taught me that family isn't just blood, it's who you choose. And I choose you, today, tomorrow, forever. They exchanged rings, they kissed, and when the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Liam shouted, "Finally," so loud that everyone laughed. The reception was held at the foundation, the same building where Sarah had started as a desperate stranger begging for scraps. Now she was the executive director surrounded by colleagues who admired her, friends who loved her, a husband who adored her, and a son who thought she was the bravest person in the world. During the toasts, Jennifer stood up. "I wasn't always the sister Sarah deserved," she said, her voice wavering. "I was jealous. I was selfish. I turned my back on her when she needed me most. But Sarah taught me something important. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing to move forward, choosing love over anger, choosing hope over fear." She raised her glass. "To Sarah and Marcus, may you always choose each other." After the reception, Sarah stood by the window looking out at the city she'd nearly died in, the city that had broken her and remade her, the city that was now home. Marcus came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. "What are you thinking about?" "Everything, nothing, how strange life is." "Good strange or bad strange?" "Both." She leaned back against him. "A year ago, I was starving, homeless, alone. And now you're here, with me, with Liam, with a whole future ahead of you. It doesn't feel real sometimes. It's real." He kissed the top of her head. "You made it real. Your strength, your courage, your refusal to give up." Sarah turned to face him. "I couldn't have done it without you." "You would have found a way. I just made it a little easier." She smiled. "Then thank you for making it easier." "Always." Liam ran up to them, his suit jacket askew, frosting on his face from the cake. "Mommy, Daddy. Can we go home now? I want to show my new room to Teddy." "Daddy." The word made Marcus's eyes shine. "Sure, buddy. Let's go home." The three of them walked out together, hand in hand in hand. A family forged from pain and hope. A love story that started in the rain and ended in the sun. Sarah looked back one last time at the foundation building, at the place where her new life had begun. She thought about all the mothers still out there, struggling like she had, starving like she had, feeling alone like she had, and she made a silent promise. She would help them, every single one. She would be the hand in the rain that she'd needed, the voice that said, "You are enough," when the world said otherwise, because she knew now what she hadn't known then. Hope is never lost. Love is never wasted. And every ending, no matter how dark, can become a beginning. She squeezed Marcus's hand and Liam's hand, holding tight to the life she'd built. Then she turned and walked into the sunset, ready for whatever came next. Because Sarah Mitchell wasn't afraid anymore. Not of the past, not of the future, not of anything. She had survived the storm, and now finally she was home.